Thanks for staying with us. Well, I have always wondered, Helen, that, the importance and effect of body image, on our lives these days. And of course, today we've convinced our team and we've assembled the best brains in this regard to help us uncover this topic.
When we looked at this body image thing as a topic for the show today, I was looking at what is it really and how far can we go with it in terms of consequences and impact on the family and the society.
Yes.
And I guess I'm looking so forward to getting some answers.
Yes.
All right. I found out that many across the globe, body image is big deal, sometimes with dire consequences. And so our guest and the lifestyle host, Pharaoh Owotomo, are all set, like John said, to get us started. So, can we meet our first guest?
Oh, yes, of course, absolutely. We have a testifier, an international textile designer, creative director of Hobbies Empire Limited, the founder of the heroic Alopecian Foundation, and a shoulder Alopecian to lean on. Our guest is Tolulope Jasmine Oguns. Welcome to the program, Tolulope.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We
Thank
are happy
you.
you could come take us through with your personal experience, and all the information you've got on this very, very not too clear, a topic that we decided to look at today, body image and all that comes with it. I was going through your CV and I found out that you have a personal experience, and at some point you needed to look inwards. In your words, you had to do some personal research to begin to understand what it's all about. So, John, you have the very first question.
Yes.
Or should she share this experience with us in just a nutshell so you can get us into your story, please?
Okay, thank you. I am Jasmine Tolulope Oguns, an Alopecian actually. I would like to briefly talk about alopecia. Alopecia is an autoimmune condition, right? It's actually a disease, but people who have alopecia prefer to define it as a condition because it is not life-threatening and it is not contagious. But it's something you need to deal with personally. And sometimes people around you stigmatize you, especially when they don't understand what it is. So it's an autoimmune condition that happens when the immune system sees the hair follicles as a foreign body and it attacks it. Our immune systems are supposed to fight against germs, diseases, sicknesses, right? But this time around, the immune system sees the hair follicles as a stranger and then it attacks it. And when that happens, hair stops growing.
Okay.
And it starts by falling off first, and then sometimes it leads to partial or total hair loss.
Wow.
That's interesting, Tolulope.
Good.
Now, that actually sets the table for today's program. And we will talk a little bit more later on about the condition that you just talked about. But first, let's go back to the topic of the day, which is body image, which is described as one's perception of his or her physical self. Now, how is this perception different from what other people see?
True.
Okay, when I saw the topic, who defines beauty standards, it struck me because really I've never thought of having standards for beauty. And that made me to go and research a bit on the definition of beauty. And I found out that generally people see beauty as a combination of qualities such as shape, color, or forms that pleases the sight. Then I went to the Holy Book where it says when God created us, He created us in His image, and everything He created was beautiful. So if the Creator says what He created is beautiful, who are those people who set the standard of beauty?
I like that.
And I just feel, yeah, I feel nobody should define the standard of beauty for anybody, really. You might have your own personal opinion of what beauty should be, but you shouldn't have an opinion of what beauty should be for someone else.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, yes, the Creator made us all beautiful. So, who is there to say one person or another person for one defect or another defect, whether mental, whether physical, is not good enough? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. So, why is
Yes,
body
exactly.
image? Why is body image such an issue? If you look at the newspapers, if you go to the social media, you look at the advertisements, there are visuals and images telling you if you're not like this, you're not yet there. Or A, B, C, D isn't going to happen to you positively. So what is the noise about, body image?
Okay, yeah, I think it's because as humans, we already have a certain image programmed in our minds that certain people should look certain way. I mean, for the male folks, they should keep low cut. For the female folks, they should have the head full of hair, right? Okay, but in my case, I didn't bring this upon myself. I lost my hair as a result of an autoimmune condition. So what am I supposed to do when I don't have control over the situation? You understand? That does not make me less beautiful because it only took my hair, but it has not taken every other thing away from me. I remember when I started losing my hair and I went for medical check and all the tests came back perfect. They didn't see anything wrong with me. And it became a cause for concern. And in this part of the world, whatever we don't know, we target spiritual. And that was where my problem started because it is strange. And everybody believes as a girl, you should have hair. So what exactly is the problem? It has to be a spiritual problem. And then stigmatization sets in. So because people have a certain ideology of what we should look like as humans, as a male folk or as a male gender or as a female gender, they tend to put us in a box, which is the reason I am doing this awareness campaign, because it is really getting to people. I've heard of a lot of cases, sad stories of people who have died, people who are living in isolation as a result of stigmatization because a lot of people are ignorant.
So, we're now seeing that your skin, your hair, or maybe any other body parts have become an issue with body image. So what really, if any, are the standard measures for this self-assessment? Do we have any parameters that if you're not this, you're inadequate or incomplete and all of that? What are the standard measures?
Is it society or is it
Okay.
something that you can? Yeah.
Okay, I'll talk about a personal opinion. I feel as human, or if you're going through any phase in life, you need to work on your self-esteem first, because that worked for me. I have to work on myself, and I believe the way you see yourself is the way people accept you. So you need to first accept yourself. I have to get to that point of acceptance first before people started accepting me. So you really need to work on your self-esteem first, and then every other person would believe that thing you believe.
Okay.
I like that, because they say when the tortoise falls down from the
lizard.
tree, the lizard, it doesn't get anybody to clap for it. It should clap for it, nods its head, and like I have tried. Yeah, and that's really key, seriously. The believability, it comes from within, and then the light shines on the outside, and what you have inside, you carry inside, you bring it to the outside, and people are able to say, yes, that's who she is, that's who he is. So are we then saying that for some people, the mirror is not a fair reflection of who we really are? When you stand before the mirror every day, what you see, is that who you really are?
Okay, first, I think every human must be comfortable in his or her own skin. There are times you look extremely beautiful, but when you look at yourself in the mirror, because you have a particular image of yourself already in your mind, you might not see the beauty. So first, you need to be comfortable in your own skin for that beauty to come out and for you to see.
So a lot of this has to do with your mindset, really. You know, the way
Exactly.
you perceive yourself, you know,
Yourself,
and
exactly.
accepting yourself for who you are, you know.
Yeah.
So we've seen now that there is a positive perception as well as a negative judgment of body image. You know, how does one move from one end to the other without physical adjustments? You've talked about mindsets, right? Well, how does one
Yeah.
transit? What's the process? What would you say would be the process?
Okay, relating it to my case, I was ignorant for 10 years. I didn't know what it was. I didn't even know there was a term for the condition or the phase I was going through at that point. So it was really tough for me. And because I was ignorant and the people around me were ignorant too, there was always one person or the other somewhere looking out for me. Okay, for example, whenever I was at home then and a visitor comes, once a knock goes on the door, there's someone in the house throwing scarf at me to cover my head because they don't want people to see me the way I was looking, right? So I started feeling less of a human. And I started withdrawing from people. I stopped going out. I stopped associating with people, you know. So it really affected my self-esteem until I decided to do a personal research. So that research now made me realize that I am not alone. This is something that could happen to anybody. There are a lot of people out there going through the same phase. And then the knowledge, you know, made me gain my self-esteem back. Though it took a while, it took a process. But at the end of the day, I got to accept myself the way I am. And that's why other people are accepting me just the way I am. And with the information I got, I've been able to impart knowledge in other people. I know a couple of people who felt the same way before they met me. Like my deputy, Moshidat Badmos. She was also going through that ignorance phase. She had been to the hospital, she had taken steroid shots, she had been to spiritualists for some form of medication. And when she stumbled on my story on the internet, she connected. You know, she reached out to me, and before I knew it, I was on my way to Ogun State from Kaduna State because I felt relieved and I was super excited that I am not alone in the struggle. So, and when I met her, we joined forces. We kept pushing online. Other people joined the campaign, and at the moment we are 70 in the foundation. And I believe there are so many other people out there who are ignorant and they feel the same way we felt before we knew that it's actually something we should not fret about. So, yeah, you need to understand what it is with you first. You need to be aware. And once the ignorance aspect is taken out of the way, I think things get better.
See, looking at you, I mean, if I didn't know about your story, and if I wasn't talking about you now in relation to body image this morning, I would just say that you're some unique, differently fashionable in your own special way, and beautiful lady. And but here you are, you know, coming from the history of something that affected you for over 10 years. And your life would have been turned negatively, but you, despite all odds, turned it around. And look at the excellent job that you're doing. You're getting more people informed and getting them out of the prison of the mind, because our mind really is that prison. So can people at this point be so psychologically influenced to the point that they start to hate themselves? Now, we're talking about your case, hair just falling off. For a lot of other people, the problems are more than that. you know, some body parts are not exactly what people expect or they expect. They're seeing some kind of manifestations, and it becomes bigger than, you know, what you're talking about, referring to your story. So at what point does the psychological aspect come to the point that the individuals begin to hate themselves and probably wanting to take some drastic measures to change, you know, the story?
Yeah, I would still say it has a lot to do with the mind, because I've seen people who don't have legs and they are doing great things. I've seen people who don't have hands and they're also achieving a lot with their lives. It has a lot to do with the mind, really. And then people around us have roles to play as well. Because I heard a story of one lady in, what's it called, Kogi State last month when I went for a training. I started attending that training without wearing a wig. And people only said nice things like, "You look beautiful, I love your style." And because I didn't have enough time to explain to them that it is not a style, I just tell them thank you. And on the fifth day, I decided to look different. I went with my wig on. After a while, the weather was not so conducive. I was feeling uncomfortable, so I took off my wig. And then I started hearing, "Wow, why did you wear a wig in the first place? You look better without the wig than with the wig." Then someone said, "What inspired the style?"
Wow.
I saw that avenue.
Wow.
I saw that as an avenue to tell them my story. And then I started. I said, "It is not a style. It is a health condition." So I got more people's attention, and they were really, really interested. They wanted to hear more. And I started telling them about alopecia, how it happens in stages, how we have different types of alopecia. And I heard two people in the background communicating in their dialect that, "Yeah, it's the same case with Tokwe. Tokwe had the same case." The other person said, "No, it's not the same. Tokwe's case is different. Tokwe's case is spiritual." So I picked interest in their conversation, and I asked, "Who is Tokwe?" He said, "She's a lady in Kogi State. She has hair loss problem, but hers is different from mine because hers is in patches." I said, "Yes, hers is a type of alopecia, and it's called alopecia areata. And when there's no hair on the head, it's called alopecia totalis. When there's no hair on the head, on the body, like the lashes, the brows, pubic hair, everything falls off. It's called alopecia universalis." They're like, "Oh, really? So Tokwe's case is not spiritual?" I said, "No, it's not spiritual."
Wow.
And they went on, to tell me how people make jest of Tokwe. At every slight opportunity they have, they take off her wig, and that sends her into a shell. She might not talk to anybody for as long as 2 weeks, 3 weeks before she gets back to a normal self. And she didn't know how to take care of her wig. She started looking like a mad person. And I picked interest in her case and said, "I would love to meet Tokwe." But sadly, they told me that Tokwe is dead. Tokwe died as a result of depression.
Wow.
Tokwe died as a result of ignorance.
Wow.
Ignorance on our part and ignorance on the part of the people around her.
Yes.
So the people around her have a very huge role to play as well. That's why this awareness is not limited to just the victims of alopecia, but also to people who are around alopecians. So, yeah, for you to move from that uncomfortable state to a state where you would accept yourself, you need to be informed. You need to be aware. And people around you also need to be informed and they need to be aware. With that, I think a lot of people would live a better life.
Yeah.
And they would accept themselves the way they are.
And you see the interesting thing about what you just said is that this model works for not only alopecia sufferers, but for all for several other groups,
True.
who need to know how to handle issues like this. One, you've talked about the importance of knowledge.
And family support.
knowledge, not only for yourself, but for the people around you. And I think, I hope that people are listening to this,
Sure.
because knowledge, they say, empowers you. And if you're able
Yes.
to know what is going on, and then you'll be able to better handle it.
And time is of essence, and I want to believe that it's a different scenario for the younger people, when you talk about the mind and being able to get inquisitive and ask questions and look for information. It's different for somebody who's grown up and for someone who is small. So when it starts small and this information, they are not available and the help is not available, then it becomes another dimension altogether.
Yeah.
But I guess we need to let our guests take a breather at this point. Can we take a quick break? And then we come back. We have another set of round of questions for you on the show.
Thanks for staying with us. And this is Today with John and Helen. And our topic for discussion today is body image. And of course, we've spent a few minutes with our guest, Tolulope Jasmine Oguns, who has a special condition, alopecia. And she's been able to describe by telling us sharing some of her personal stories with us.
She conquered it.
Yes. Tolulope, thank you so much. So we move on now. I was at the tail end of that segment. Yeah. I was going to ask you, now you've talked about alopecia, which is incidental. It's like a natural condition that has happened to you. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some people who would have what you would perceive as maybe the right God-given shapes of their lips, of their noses, or of other parts of their body, but who still feel inadequate and
want to enhance.
Go the extra mile to enhance. What would you say about such people?
Well, I think for some people, it started when they were kids. They have people around them who body shame them. Growing up, my mom would always tell us something as kids, that you're beautiful the way you are. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You're beautiful just the way you are. So if someone says your head is big, tell them, yes, God created me that way and I'm beautiful the way I am. So some people feel they are not beautiful because of what they've heard from other people over time. And I feel nobody should define the standard of beauty for you, right? Nobody should define the standard of beauty for you. Nobody should play the role of God in anybody's life. So it still boils down to the fact that we need to keep talking about these things. We need to keep letting people know that they are perfect just the way they are.
But you see, as we do that, we're also exposed to some influences around, within the society. For instance, some people have blamed the role of advertising for, what it has done to body slamming or body image, consciousness. What do you say about this, advertising and its role?
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Well, it works differently for people. It works for some people, and it doesn't work for some. I've heard of stories of people who tried to do bust enhancement and it went wrong. And unfortunately for them, there's no remedy. So they would have to live a deformed life forever. But then they brought it upon themselves, right? So another thing I think is these things, this enhancement thing, is not meant for everybody. They probably don't do a proper check to know what works for them. There should be a form of, or there should be a way people would, or the people who do these things, or who are professionals in these things. Since they are professionals, I believe they are professionals. So they should be able to check prior to the time they do the surgery to know if that measure would work for the people they are working on. I am not a fan of enhancement because I love myself the way I am. But then for other people, it's just an advice anyway, because people are out there, they want to make money, they want to make a living, right? So, and people are also there to patronize them,
Yeah.
to help their businesses grow. And you won't say because you have a certain way of perceiving things, other people should not do their thing. But I'll just advise that before they take these steps, they should check and be sure that these measures would work for them. If it won't work, there's no point. Because I try to understand how someone who went for body enhancement and got it wrong would live a life. So would that person be praying to die, or
Yeah.
how? Would the
Yeah.
person live a life lying down? I try to imagine these things and I can't comprehend it. That's just it. So I won't say people should not run their businesses, but then in the quest of trying to look beautiful, I think we should not endanger our life.
Okay, all right. Because for me, the aspect of self-esteem and a knowledge of who you are, and knowing that you're not a part, you're a sum total, of spirit, body, and the mind. And I think the God factor, and as more people get to this point, this issue of self-esteem and body images thing might be, reduced a little bit. But let's take a look at body image, which is a subject matter for today. And while we were looking at some information here and there, we found out that it's a little more when you talk about the transgender people. Have you come across this in your research and in your work?
Not really. I've not really paid attention to that.
Okay.
So I don't know much. I don't know much about that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to say. I wouldn't want to talk about something I don't have facts about.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And it is quite a sensitive topic too. So maybe we'll lay that to rest for now. Yeah.
And when we're fully ready
But
for
now
it.
let's look at anxiety and depression, because these are known to be byproducts of negative body image. Would you want to explain a bit to us about that? Anxiety, depression.
Yes. While I was ignorant, within the 10 years I was ignorant, I actually went through that phase. I had anxiety, I was depressed, and I had issues with my mental health. I'll point that to a wrong medication I was placed on. In my quest of looking for solution for my head to go back, I had an encounter with a dermatologist who placed me on a wrong medication. For every time I got 0.5 mg of that tablet, I would use 10 tabs as a dose. For every time I got 1 mg, I would use 5 tabs as a dose. And it started affecting me. First, I started having mood swings. And then I discovered that my memory was diminishing. So I linked it to that medication. But before I realized that it had done its own damage rather. And I started having anxiety, I became restless. I started having mood swings. And at some point, I became suicidal. Thank goodness my mom was in the house that day and she saved me. She saved my life. Maybe nobody would have known about me today. So ignorance can lead to a lot of things. And because we are so desperate, we need solutions to our problems. We don't even ask questions about the medications we are placed on. Because I'm guilty of that. I did not ask the doctor what the medication was. I just knew the name and that was it. I didn't know the effects. I didn't know the side effects. I didn't ask questions. He prescribed the medication and I took it and I started using it. So I would advise people to always ask questions. Even when they tell you have malaria, ask questions. Right now, I'm very, very inquisitive. Like, I ask questions a lot. Some people get angry over that, but I don't care because I've gone through a phase that has brought me to that point in my life where I need to know about everything and anything I take. So it is very, very important that we get detailed information about the things we use on ourselves, on our bodies, even creams. Some people just go to the market, they pick up creams because it's working for someone else. They don't know if it will work for them or not. And they start using it. Yeah. And before you know it, they start having reactions on their skin. And in some cases, it might not be a minor thing. It might just generate into something bigger. And that's where their problems begin from. So for us to avoid anxiety, depression, and all of that, we need to be informed. We need to ask questions. We need to know, we need to have full details of things we use, the things we ingest, the things we apply on our body, and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I while I was looking at Google for this, I came across some nuggets. Can I borrow that word from you? Nuggets. 10 tips, for example, things that you can do. Because you've been in this practice for a while, things that you can advise people to do on a regular basis, to take them away from the negatives of body image. I hear that some eating disorders also comes, as a part of it. But what can we do individually on a daily basis to affirm that this is who we are and we're beautiful? If you give me 6 of those, I will be eternally grateful to you.
Okay, yeah, first, you need to take a lot of water. It used to be a struggle growing up because my mom would always wake us up and give us water first thing in the morning. To me, it was strange. Like, why would you want me to take water on an empty stomach? I should have something first before taking water. But she keeps emphasizing on the fact that water is good because it keeps you refreshed. And it's a good thing for your body to be hydrated at all times. So I think water first. Water is very important. If you take water first thing in the morning, if you try to exercise, exercise is very, very, very important. And if you don't have an avenue, like maybe you don't have access to the gym, on your own, you could do some little exercises, like stretch your body, your body parts, your hands, your legs, your neck, And another thing is, I believe as humans, we have something in us. We have something special in us that we can exhibit. For me, I'm a creative artist. When I'm down, I try to come up with something creative. I try
get busy.
to either paint, I try to either paint or sculpt or design a fabric, you understand? For some people, they could sing. So I would advise that when you're experiencing a downtime, it's always good to think of what you can do from within, something that will keep you busy, away from all the negative thoughts.
Okay. I also found out that you should do a checklist, at least say about 6 things that you love about yourself, things that are excellent about you, and keep them in view and constantly take a look at them and affirm those things to yourself. Does that help?
Yeah, daily affirmation. Yeah, daily affirmation works too. Okay. I actually have a list of daily affirmations, like things I say to myself every day. When I wake up in the morning, I tell myself, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am wise, I am strong, I am a queen, I am beautiful, I am bold, I am not my hair.
I love
that.
How could you say such things to yourself?
Not my hair. My hair does not define me.
Yes.
On a daily basis, and not find that that help from within.
Really, you
Yeah,
are.
And most
Tolu.
importantly, I tell myself, I will fulfill destiny.
Amen. Amen.
Irrespective of what anybody says, I will fulfill destiny. So it's very good to affirm positive things to yourself every morning. Even as the day goes, even as you're going about your daily activities, it's always good to think positive, say positive things to yourself.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and do away with every negativity.
So before we let you go to Lope, we have just a few seconds to the end of the segment of this program. Could you just tell us about any support groups
Apart from her own?
that you know about that can help out?
Hey, when I was doing my research, I actually looked out for a support group, but I didn't find any in Nigeria or in Africa. That's why I decided to start here at Alopecian Foundation, actually.
Okay.
Most of the support groups are abroad. And for now, talking about alopecia, I only know of my foundation for now. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with other people in other fields that can help people who are suffering from alopecia. Like already we have partnership with Vinci Hair Clinic, and they've really done their best
Wow.
with the campaign and all. Yeah.
Yes, and we really
Thank
want
you.
to appreciate your contributions to not only alopecia, but I mean as an inspiration
True.
to so many of us who have been having issues with coming to terms with body image. So Tolulope, Jasmine, Oguns, thank you so much for being with us on this program today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And please send our love to your mommy, who played a very huge part, yes, at some points, in getting you to understand more about this situation and how to handle it. Okay, thank you once again. It's Today with John and Helen. Body image was on the center stage and still is on the show as we move to the next segment, which is Keep Fit. She talked about it.
Body
Exercise
fitness.
it. Body fitness. And I think Dolly is here
Yes.
to take us around either some workout or some very important tip that we need to know. So let's go.